All right, welcome back to Amazon Unpacked, the podcast Amazon does not want you to hear. So I'm Ira, your fellow coworker at DBK4, and I am here with Alvin.
It is your boy, Mr. Stowing Champion himself. That is my official title now, as given to me by a fellow associate. And I'm here to help you all understand a little bit about exactly what we've been doing lately and what Amazon has been doing in response.
Yes, so this we're going to do a little playlist here. A couple episodes, short episodes, a mini series on what are unions, what do you need to know, what is Amazon telling you about them, what are we saying, telling you, why you should believe us, not them. So to start with, let's just do a quick episode on what is a union. And actually, before we start, let me just give a little more in-depth introduction of myself. I used to be a Teamster. I was in a union at UPS. I was a union rep. I was a shop steward, which means a shop steward is, if we're all working in the warehouse together, we want union reps there in the warehouse working with us. So we will elect people from amongst ourselves to go get trained up as union reps by the union and, just be our union reps on site, working side by side with us. That's called a shop steward. I was a shop steward at UPS as a Teamster, a member of the Teamsters Union. Alvin, do you want to?
Hey, don't forget how you get a cool ass jacket for being a steward, apparently. Y'all
Yeah,
can't see this, but he's wearing it right now, and it's really cool, actually.
I do like my Teamster jacket, my shop steward jacket.
It's a very cool jacket. And honestly, the steward thing, I'm hoping after we win, and we will win, that a lot of us are interested in being stewards. I'll do it. I'll do it. Why not?
All right. So anyway, let's keep going. So, Alvin, what's a union? Amazon's going to tell you a union's one thing, but what is a union actually?
So I think a union represents worker power against what management and the company as a whole throws at you, which is basically meeting those rates that we have or how management pushes us every day. Having a say against that isn't done by having, these one-on-one conversations that management will have with you. They'll take you to the side and talk to you and discipline you about your rates or if you're going too slow or assign you impossible things to do, like, pick the buffering 4 racks or doing 5 aisles of stow. They do these things because there is no worker power at Amazon. There is no worker power at DBK4 until there's a union. A union is unity between everyone here that if one worker gets disciplined wrongfully, it's an insult to every worker there because it means that management can misuse any one of us. A union says no to that. It says that because we work here, because we do these things, we earn our wages, we get to say that it's not the say of people who stand behind computers looking at numbers, it's the people who pick up the packages, who put them in their little stove bins. It's the people who deliver the packages that do the actual work, and they should get to control how and when and all that stuff that goes down in our regular job. That's it. That's my whole tirade.
The people who do the work should call the shots. And a union is very simple. Anytime workers come together and they decide that we are going to work together to make this workplace better and to get what we deserve, that organization is called a union. So it's not a better version of HR. It's not some lawyers you call who are gonna, go file some briefs on your behalf and try to get laws passed in your favor. A union's not some thugs who are gonna come like crack skulls and break legs until you get until the boss gives in. A
It
union is
was, though.
there was a time where the mob did infiltrate some unions. That's true. But why would they want to do that? Because anytime you build an organization with power, some people are going to want a piece of it. So yeah, union is just the organization we build as workers to get what we need and get what we want from the boss. And I always say you don't join the union to get something from the union. You join the union to get something from the boss. I want to talk a little bit about two things. Number one, why should people trust the union when the union is telling them something different than HR or management, right? Like HR is going to come to you and they'll be like, oh, if you have any problems, come to us and we'll help you fix them. Management will be like, use any changes you want to see in the workplace, use the VOA board or come talk to us one on one and we'll fix them. And then the union, in this case, us, your coworkers and the Teamsters will tell you that's all bullshit. If you really want to make the meaningful changes, you need to work with the union. You need to become the union. So, on the one hand, you're going to hear conflicting stories. Management and HR are going to be on the same page about how you go about changing things and making things better at work. And they're going to tell you management has your best interests at heart. HR has your best interests at heart. You're a family with Amazon. We care for each other. The union is going to tell you something different. They're going to tell you it's actually the union who looks out for you. It's the union who has your best interests at heart. And it's through the union that you can get those changes you want to see in the workplace. And I'm here telling you, you should know that HR is lying to you and management is lying to you. Why is that true? Why is it true that we're telling you something different, but you should trust us, not HR, not management. You should trust the union, not HR, not management.
Honestly, one of the most simple reasons is that the union is the worker beside you. It's the workers that work with you every night. They deal with the same problems that you have at work, and they deal with exactly the shit pay that you have. HR gets paid way more than you to protect the company. Management gets paid way more than you to protect the company. They're never on your side. They have no reason to be on your side. And most of them are trained to not be on your side because of what a union means. It's something that takes away the power from management and HR. With a union, you don't have unsafe rates. You don't have bullshit like working the same operation every day because it's something controlled by you and your fellow workers, not
Yeah.
somebody who's there as a figurehead for the company.
Yeah, and just to hedge that, a good union, a strong union, a union that has buy-in and participation from the members, in that situation, we have a lot more control over the rates and the working conditions, and management can't dominate our lives. But right, just certifying a union, we still have to fight for those changes we want to see, but it is through that union that we have the power to do that. And I'll just say, it's like you said, it's very simple. HR legally, management legally, their job is to make you work as productively as possible. That means make you work as hard as possible. They are obligated, like legally obligated to the shareholders to get the workforce producing as much value for the shareholders, for the company as possible. The top of the chain of command for managers is the board of directors. If they aren't extracting as much value out of their workers as possible, if they aren't pushing you as hard as they possibly can to make as much profit for the shareholders as possible, violating their fiduciary duty. It is management's job to be part of that chain of command that gets as much value out of you for the shareholders as possible. It is HR's job to protect the company from liability. So to the extent that, a manager might push you to violate safety laws, HR might, they might help you out a little bit because they don't want management to be doing things that are going to make the company liable for you being injured. So yeah, HR protects the company. The union, who does the union protect? Well, let's think about this. The union is funded by you, the member. The leadership of the union is elected by you, the membership. When was the last time you got to elect a manager? When was the last time you got to run for HR and elect HR? Right? HR and management, they're not accountable to us. The union leadership, you elect them, and if you don't like them, you run to replace them and people vote for you or they don't. Our leadership is elected. Major expenditures by the union, any major new project, any major expenditures, they've got to go to a vote. When was the last time Amazon asked you how it should, where it should build a new warehouse? So the difference is the union is us. It is the workers, and it is accountable to us because everything it does, its behavior, all of its major changes, the things it does is contingent on us approving that action. It's like that is an accountability that Amazon can never have to you. So that's why you should believe the union, and that's why you should recognize that management and HR will tell you lies through grins to make you not support the union because they recognize that they are giving up power. They will not have absolute power over you if you join and participate in that union.
In smaller words, if one of the newer random white guys who smile like they've never smiled before walks up to you with the biggest grin on their face asking about how good Amazon is, don't believe them. Don't believe them. At
Yeah.
most, they're doing the same job as HR, trying to just protect the company.
Yep. And to make you feel like the company cares about you. It doesn't. The company cares about shareholders.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. Because if you've been here long enough as I have or Ira has, you'll see that these people come, they ask you for suggestions, and then they disappear. Do those suggestions ever take place? No, they don't. They really don't.
Unless there's a viable union movement. Like to the extent that you get bigger raises than average or things that you want, it's because Amazon's trying to buy you off because they don't want you to unionize. That's why we get food every night. But anyway, so the next thing is where does the power of a union come from? So we talked about why you should trust the union. You should trust really literally yourself as a part of the union over management and HR. But as a union, we're asking Amazon to give us things they don't want to give us. We're asking them to give us $5 extra an hour. That's $5 extra an hour to each of that's going to each of us rather than their shareholders. Remember, their shareholders want that profit. They want that in their pockets, and management is obligated to respond to the needs of those shareholders. So they don't want us to get that raise. They want the shareholders to get that raise, right? The bajillionaires who invest in Amazon. So where does our power as a union, as rank and file workers, where does our power come from to get them to give us something like a $5 an hour raise that they do not want to give us? Where does our power come from to do that?
Strike! I feel
Oof.
like that's a good segue into the good old strike.
Yeah, like say more.
So, one of the time-tested methods that have been used by unions for a long, long time is the strike. Walking off the job, stopping work at all, because what those bajillionaires want for you to be doing at all times is working. That's why Amazon doesn't really like it when you're taking your little time. They don't like time off task at all. That's why if you spend a little bit of time in the bathroom because you had Chipotle or something last night, it's a no-no because you're not working. You're not making any profit for those shareholders. So what the strike does is you're literally just saying, yeah, nah, I'm not working at all. You're not going to make any profit from me. And when you do that with your union, you are basically shutting down a whole factory. You're shutting down a major source of profit because with all the machines that are in there, with all the progress, all the things they built up there, none of it works without humans pushing that weight. That is who we are. And when we leave, it's a dormant sinkhole in their wallets. And the only way we do that is by going on strike for a long, long time. But we can't really do a long, long time without any resources. And that's what the Teamsters are here for.
So just to reiterate that point, there is one thing that capitalists want you to do every day. And by capitalists, I mean the people who own Amazon, the people who own UPS, whatever company someone works for, the people who control society because they control the companies we work for. There is one thing they want you to do, and that is work. That is because it's your work becomes profit for them. You are the one who makes them money. So they don't care if on your weekend, you go scream at Jeff Bezos from the street. They don't care if you post X, Y, and Z on social media. They don't care if you go sign a petition. As long as the next day you get up, go to work, and push those packages. And what a strike is where we collectively, all of us, say, actually, we're not going to push those packages today. We're not going to come into work or we're going to walk out of work. and now not a package moves. Those machines don't work themselves. And while those machines are not running, it's actually costing Amazon, right? Because those machines, that building, the rent has to be paid. The maintenance on the machines has to happen. And if they're not running, it is now costing them money to have that facility in their possession rather than making them money. So our power to force Amazon to do something that they don't want to do, like give us a $5 raise, is based on our power to collectively say, not a package is going to land on a doorstep in New York City unless you do it on our terms and pay us $5 an hour more to do it.
Especially because they can't fire us. Completely illegal.
And even if Amazon tries, how are they going to replace thousands and thousands of workers and train them to do all the work overnight? It's going to take them weeks or months. And by that time, they're going to have lost so much in profit. They're going to have lost so many customers to other e-commerce companies. They're not going to want to deal with that loss of market share. They're not going to deal with that loss of money. They're going to come to the table.
And do you really think any like a majority of those new employees, do you really think they wouldn't join our cause to get even more and
Yeah,
be supported?
exactly. If people are trying to come in and do the work and we talk to them as they come in, as they come in and explain the situation to them, most of them are going to join us anyway. That's where the power of a union comes from. And the other thing is, a lot of people will say, well, we don't want to strike. Like, that's scary. Well, it's actually up to us as union members whether or not we strike. The union can't just unilaterally say, dictate from on high, you all have to go on strike. No, a strike is something we discuss together and it's something we vote on. Do we authorize the union to call a strike? And if we don't authorize the union to call a strike, if we don't vote to strike, then the union's not going to call a strike. So it's a decision we have to make given how stubborn Amazon's being, how hard we want to fight for what it is that we're fighting for. But that is our ultimate power. Our ability to do that is our biggest negotiating chip. Let's talk about why we've decided as organizers that we would rather join the Teamsters rather than building up our own union from scratch. Because that's something we've gone back and forth with. Is there was a time where we were building up our own union from scratch, from the bottom up, taking action, fighting for things. But recently, we made the decision that we'd actually like to work with an established union and work toward joining that union.
Well, it was a decision that took a brunt of a year, I would say, a very long time. That's why you might see this transition from something you would have seen seen this on the petitions we've given you or the flyers we've given you. You've seen this symbology of Amazonians United. That was the original union that was built from scratch by the committee members. It was something that really had minimal resources. It was mostly a way of propagating the idea of what a union is and building support through that. And it was all honestly a success in that regard. We got so many people who are supporters now, so many people who have signed a card with the Teamsters so readily because of all the union effort we had before as Amazonians United. But we've decided to change over mostly because the only way to defeat Amazon is with power. They will not understand any other language. You need to fuck with their money. And the Teamsters are one of the oldest logistics unions there is in the United States. They've been going for a long time. They're even in Canada. They've been going around the world with this shit, and they've been fighting this exact fight for so long, and they've built up so much worker power, but they've built up such a reserve of strength to honestly make Amazon shit their pants as they have. They're scared by this for a reason.
The Teamsters are a union. They are a union that has been around for over 100 years. It is currently at 1.4 million members. So that's UPS workers. They are all Teamsters. They are members of the Teamster Union. DHL workers, those yellow delivery vans, also working, doing similar warehouse work. They are members of the Teamsters. A lot of people who drive trucks are members of the Teamsters. So the Teamsters is just a union of workers who primarily work in warehouses and shipping and trucking and logistics. So it is the biggest, oldest, most powerful logistics union in the country, with the workers belonging to that union being primarily people who do similar work to us at Amazon, whether it's moving packages around inside the warehouse, delivering them to people's doorsteps, moving them between warehouses and trucks, loading them onto and off of planes. That's the type of work that Teamsters do, and they're called Teamsters if they belong to the Teamster Union, and they fight for better conditions at their workplaces as members of that union.
I should mention you might have seen something very recently. You might have heard something about the Teamsters as the drivers who marched on the HR desk with where Kelly and her little acolyte group of managers you've never seen before were standing. But they very recently unionized with the Teamsters, and that's why they were chanting, "We are Teamsters," because they had enough support within the drivers to officially unionize as Teamsters. All right. Well, it seems we've spent a long time today on this episode. So, to recap, what is a union?
A union is the organization that workers form when they come together to get what they want and deserve from the boss. It's just workers acting together to get something from the boss. That's called a union. That's all it is. And who are the Teamsters?
The Teamsters are one of the oldest logistics unions in the country, and they're also the people who are supporting our fight against Amazon.
Yep, and bringing more workers and more warehouses into the union, including the 6,000 or so JFK 8 workers on Staten Island who have recently joined the Teamsters. So for now, thank you for joining. Again, I am your coworker, Ira.
And it's your coworker, Alvin. Good night and
Yep.
good day.